AM WURD, Philadelphia.
Philadelphia.
Independent.
Black media.
The views and opinions expressed by the guests, listeners, and hosts of any program on WURD Radio do not necessarily reflect those of ownership, management, or advertisers of this station.
You're listening to The Source, an eclectic arrangement of diverse, powerful voices tackling the issues that affect us all. So let's get started with The Source.
And yes, this is The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders. But thanks to Andrea Lawful Sanders and the management at WRD, they said, hey, Mike, Sister Andrea can't be here. Can you fill in? And I'm like, this is perfect timing. I had a bunch of stuff to do earlier today, some Zoom hearings on some big cases. I might even share them with you today. But I said, hey, I'll be done by about 12:15. So the timing is absolutely perfect. Now, you know, when Sister Andrea Lawful Sanders does her thing here at The Source, she starts at 1 o'clock and ends at 4. So this will be an abbreviated version today. And I have a lot, and I do mean a lot of stuff I want to talk about, but that's secondary. What we really want to talk about is what you want to talk about. So you can give us a call, because today I'm the guest host, but you're the co-host. And you do what you need to do as a co-host by dialing 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. Toll free, 866-361-0900. Once again, 866-361-0900. By the way, you can always catch us and check us out and find out everything you need to find out by logging on to WURDradio.com. That's WURDradio.com. In addition to hearing us, you can also see us. How do you do that? Well, we're streaming on WURD Facebook Live. We're streaming at WURD YouTube, and we're streaming at WURD Twitch. So please contact us, because we want to talk about what you want to talk about. And anytime you call in, I always say, how can we help you, or how can you help us? Again, the numbers are 215-634-8065 and 866-361-0900. Let me very quickly say this, because I want to get to George. I want to get to Prince. I want to get to Maurice. I want to get to the other Maurice. So give me 30 seconds, then I'll get to the callers. Here's what I wanted to talk about today. We might get to most of them, some of them, all of them, who knows. Number one, solutions to Philly's violent crime. Yeah, I got some solutions. Number two, the upcoming primary election. Yeah, it's a primary. Yeah, it's an off year, but it's very important. I want to share some insight with you regarding that. Number three, Philadelphia's miseducation system. That speaks for itself. Number four, the 1,400 STEMI legal protection. Did you know that your money could possibly be swiped at the banks? I'll tell you how you can protect yourself. Number five, Emma Chappelle's legacy. And that's important. I heard people mourning her, and they should. But if you really want to mourn her, then you have to live the life that she wants you to. And how do you do that? By supporting black banks. We're going to talk more about that. Number six, did you know that there are 43 states that have submitted 253 pieces of legislation to stop black folks from voting? And finally, number seven, breaking news about a top Philadelphia lawyer. That's all I'm going to say. We got to hear from George. We got to hear from Prince. We got to hear from Maurice 1 and Maurice 2. First up, George. George, how are you today?
Fine, Mike. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. Let me say this, man. I know some people who you know, and they say, how come George doesn't have a show here at WRD? Because he calls it like a no-nonsense umpire. Balls and strikes and doesn't give a damn who strikes out. Go ahead, George.
Well, Mike, when you've been around as long as I have and God has blessed you to be in the room, then, it's like you can say what you want to who you want,
Yes, sir.
I've seen a lot of kids get to the room. You understand? Their parents leave and their kids come along. But let me say this here, Mike.
Take your time. Take your time.
Which most people don't know. And you bring it up on your show, but your guest sometimes blocks it out where as though people forget. Everybody's on Larry Krasner's neck about a lot of things. I don't agree with everything Larry does.
Fair enough.
Larry worked with people he don't even like, which I wouldn't. If I don't like you, I ain't working with you. But he has the decency. And I'm not one of these people who campaign for Larry and doing all this here. I don't have to kiss up to Larry because I jump on Larry just like I jump on anybody else.
Yes.
Larry is one of the best DAs we have had in a long time. Let me say why.
And I want you to break it down because I want people to know who's talking. This is George, and you know all about Castile. You know all about Rendell. You know all about Lynn Abraham and Seth Williams. And for you to say what you just said, you got to take your time and break that down.
And all those people you talked about was good friends of mine. Not was, still is, you know. And I talked to them frequently, like Lynn Abraham. I understood Lynn Abraham better than she understood herself. A lot of times me and her would talk, and she said, I'm glad I talked to you. You got me on the right track. Every now and then I get off track, And to this day here, she does she's still in the courtroom now. But let me say this about Larry, which people don't know. When you see these Mexicans and all these foreigners being taken advantage of, working on these jobs, underpaid, it's a law that you have to pay people prevailing wage. Larry has a unit that only does that. Okay?
Ooh.
Before that, people used to always holler, the builders trades is racist, the builders trades is that. But you ever notice people who talk about the builders trades don't know the builders trades? The builders trades don't give black people jobs. Well, if they pass the urine test, they can get a job. Well, you should give them a job anyway. You're right. They should, but they don't.
Let me ask you this, George, before you go on. I went to finish point. But I heard from some people that when members of city council was blasting the building trades union about not providing jobs, the building trades unit said to the persons who were complaining, hey, give us some names, give us some resumes, and city council didn't follow up.
Wait a minute. Not only that, they went to them, to their office and begged them, listen, just give us the people that you want. Your favorites. Pick them out. They say, we'll even do better than that. That's how short the builders trades were. They say, give us 50 people, not 10, not 5. Give us 50 people, and if they could pass the test, we'll guarantee them a job. Not only will we guarantee them a job, we'll give them a journeymanship. You know what the test was they couldn't pass?
What's that?
Urine.
Whoa.
Urine test.
Whoa.
And when you hear people talking all this willy gangster stupidity about what the builders trades is this and the builders trades is that, you ever notice never hear key people who know what's going on talk about the builders trades? Because the builders trades do more for people than our black elected officials do for people. So because they are...
In fact, let me say this, George. I heard that Johnny Dock at one point called out city council, and they didn't respond.
He went there and called them out, okay? He went right up to the gate and called them out by names and say, I got the jobs. Give me the people now. He said, better than that, give them to me in 48 hours. Now, one of those council people did it. Let me explain something else to you, Mike, so that people who understand construction and understand how politics and understand how things get done in your neighborhood work. The city is divided up in rates. The city belongs to white folks. West Philadelphia, which is $152 billion worth of work, belongs to others, meaning mostly African Americans and others.
Okay.
They had to get Councilwoman Blackwell out of the way. They had to find a prime, good Negro to replace her with, and they did a very good job of it. It cost them $32 million, but they did. Okay? Go on any job site in West Philadelphia now and count how many blacks you see on a job. Not only that, ask yourself, where do they buy their supplies? When Councilwoman Blackwell was there, they had to join forces with the hardware stores was out there, the mom and pops and all that there, because her rule was, if you do business here, you have to deal with my district first. You have to hire. Remember all those trucks that was on Spruce Street and all them other streets, those containers? And everybody used to say, wow, guys, it's like 50-something containers, people sitting in them all day. That was her district, what you call her zip code. She made them hire those people who couldn't read, write, understand, read a rule or anything. She didn't care.
You know, Cheney had its urban campus there, and I would see those container trucks that you're talking about just sitting out there in that area.
That's right. And you know what? Every last one of those guys was making a minimum of $75 an hour. Couldn't read, couldn't write, couldn't understand, and most of them couldn't pass a urine test. But the point was, you had a strong council person there who looked out for their people. Now, if you read the Day's Inquiry, it tells you that West Philadelphia, all the developers, now that the sheriff's office is going on, the sheriff's sales is going on virtual. That means people in Mexico, people in Europe, Russia, they can buy anything they want. There's no interaction of people, where before it was interaction of people. They talk about technology, Mike, is the greatest thing. It's good in some instances and bad in others. It's bad for black people. It's bad for poor people, and it's going to hurt. Only people like virtuous council people, because they don't have to come out their house. They don't have to deal with people, which most of them don't like people anyway, but they do a real good job of pretending. You ever heard that say, pretending days?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that's it. And I don't want to hog up time, Mike, but I'm trying to make as much as I can, quick as possible.
Yeah, I haven't heard from you, man. I'm going to give you some extra time because I haven't heard from you in a while.
Right. But the thing is, Mike, is that it's very important for people to, well, it's not for it's the people who understand and been around. They know exactly what I'm talking about. It's just the neophytes and the newcomers who don't understand how politics work and what really goes on. Who always say, well, George stood up there and say that they're death hustlers. Or George said, well, George knows what he's talking about, okay? When I call you a death hustler, if you're not a death hustler, why would you be offended, Mike? Would you be offended?
You wouldn't be talking about me, so keep it moving.
Right. So, therefore, when I talk about death hustlers, I'm talking about those people who are pimping the system out of 6 figures a year, okay? What you call community activists who go around, do all this stuff. They're glad it's death, because if there's no death, there's no them.
Whoa. So, George, just so I'm clear, you're saying that some of these activists, they want black folks to be down so that they can use that as their platform as if it's a job.
Mike, it is a job. I know 2 or 3 of them and got a pension out of it, okay?
Whoa.
A pension. 30 years.
George, we got about 20 seconds. We're up against the clock. We got to take a break, but I'll give you the final 20 seconds.
You look at from the days of Wilson Good to now. Mike, also, I hope somebody call in and talk to you about what happened up at the prison. The mayor, the managing director, and the mayor's chief of staff was up at the prison this morning asking, how could this possibly happen? And Kenny said it like this. We have a tower there. We have a light. He said, now, unless the guy was asleep, he said, it's no way humanly possible that somebody could be out there shooting and that light couldn't have followed them to 95. The mayor's chief of staff, Aldrin, has said, not only that, south and north bound, your cameras is taking tags. He said, why didn't somebody get on that there? Because we know what time approximately the shooting took place. You would follow the cars of the tags of telling you exactly where it is.
Absolutely.
You said that on your show, Mike, that, there's no way you can get off 95 north or south without your tag being taken or your car, because it's constantly being running. They hit the computer at the time, and all that footage starts coming up. So,
George, we run out of time, George, but do this. I'd like you to call into my show this Sunday so that we can spend more time, because people need to hear this.
I hope so, Mike, and I will. And just get on them, Mike, and I'm glad it's no guest today, because I'm quite sure some of your people don't like to hear the truth in this city. They want to sit up there and make stories, kiss up, suck up. And believe me, every time you kiss up and suck up, they laugh. And these elected officials love you to suck up because they know they don't have to give you nothing. Nothing. As they would say, what is war good for? Absolutely nothing. What is kissing up good for? Absolutely nothing. Have a good one,
George,
Mike. Talk
we
to you then.
appreciate you calling in. You say what you mean what you say. I hope you call back on Sunday during my regular show. We have an abbreviated version today. We're way behind schedule for our commercial breaks. We're going to talk to Prince. We're going to talk to Maurice 1. We're going to talk to Maurice 2. But first, a commercial break. WURD 96.1 FM.
Attention WURD audience, do you know that you can get help with your PICO energy bill? PICO is here to help you with financial help through various assistance programs, including the PICO CAP program, which provides a monthly credit for eligible low-income customers based on the customer's total household gross income and energy usage. If you are experiencing financial hardship, you may qualify for the PICO CAP program.
And PICO Cares is the customer assistance and referral evaluation service designed to assist special needs, low-income customers who have a temporary personal or financial hardship that prevents the payment of your PICO energy bill. If you have a special needs child or adult in your care, your household may qualify for the CARES program.
Call 1-800-774-7040 today to see if you qualify due to an existing situation or a change in circumstances within your household. Call 1-800-774-7040 today for more information on the PICO CAP or PICO CARES program. PICO, powering our communities.
The Sweet Treat Hut is the highest rated juice bar in Philly, located on the corner of 50th and Thompson Streets, providing delicious, healthy vegan food, juices, and smoothies. Treat yourself to a cup of happiness. Call 215-877-1471.
Tune in Saturdays from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. to hear Empire Capital and Consulting founder Mark Palmer's show titled Black Money, Black Power. This show centers around black money and how black power is derived from money. Tune in every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Black Money, Black Power, hosted by Mark Palmer.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. A My Social Security account allows you to access your earnings history and benefits information, request a replacement Social Security card, get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Livelihood, WURD Radio's new initiative, connecting Black Philadelphians with jobs, entrepreneurship resources, small business development information, and financial literacy tools. Tune in to WURD Radio for our weekly livelihood segments and every weekday show. For a full schedule, visit wordradio.com/livelihood. For more information on livelihood, visit wordworks.com. That's WURDWORKS.com. In celebration of women, Nina Simone.
I'll tell you what freedom is to me. No fear. I mean, really, no fear. If I could have that half of my life, no fear. That's the only way I can describe it.
This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, Philadelphia. Independent Black Media.
You're listening to The Source
On WURD Radio.
96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
That is absolutely correct. You are listening to The Source with the unapologetically black and culturally empowering Andrea Lawful Sanders. When I say she's unapologetically black, I mean that she wears her blackness on her sleeve. When I say she's culturally empowering, she gets people fired up to the point that they want to do something and do something. So I'm honored to be sitting in as the guest host during this time slot where you normally hear the beautiful and melodious voice of Andrea Lawful Sanders right here at The Source, Thursdays from 1 p.m. until 4 p.m. We have an abbreviated show today because we had to deal with some important city council stuff, and we also right now got to deal with some important callers. Who are they? They are you, because you dialed 215-634-8065, or you dialed 866-361-0900. Love him or hate him, agree with him or disagree with him, you got to concede that George makes some valid points. We also get valid points all the time from Prince. Prince is our next, I don't know if I should call him a guest or a caller, whatever. He's got some important information to share. Prince, how are you today?
Hey, man, you know, I'm going to tell you like this. Anytime somebody pick a Cheney grad to do anything, they're going to get 100% of the services that they
I love it. I love it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you know, once again, my condolences to Miss Emma Chappelle. You know,
yes, sir.
Everybody is saying, you know, their condolences, but you know, I hate to see people broken before they leave us. You know, and no one likes to say this, but Miss Emma Chappelle gave millions. She was the first African American woman to build this bank, United Bank in Philadelphia, for African Americans, and it was those ones who think that they're the have in this city right here who broke her, because she gave loans out to African American people.
Let me say this, Prince, before you go on. I love it when you call in because you do your research. You know what you're talking about. I knew that she, in her position, had made sure black business individuals got loans. I didn't find out just recently it was $30 million in loans that black woman gave to black entities and black businesses in Philadelphia. $30 million herself. Yep. Go ahead, Prince. Yep. Keep talking.
Yep, and they defaulted on them. And so this was the reason why Emanuel Freeman wound up getting indicted. And then when she was released from the bank because of her own people borrowing money from her bank, and they defaulted on it, was the reason why when she left there and tried to go to Germantown Settlement and people started getting indicted, she had nowhere to land from the very people who she lent money to. And
hey, Prince, you're talking about some stuff that nobody really knows the real deal. Keep talking.
Right, and so when George talks about Northwest, he's not just saying it in a cavalier conversation. He's saying it in them people up there have a design fashion to just do what it is for themselves, not for the greater good of the Case in point, we're gonna do a Q&A right here. If I am locked up for DUI, this is my 4th or 5th DUI, I want you to tell me what should happen. Give me 3 scenarios what should happen to me, or at least 3 with these 3 scenarios. Number 1, my license will get suspended. Number 2, I'll be incarcerated. And number 3, if this was an offense for the first time, I'll get an ARD.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so if I put those things out there to you, and you see that I'm on the right line with those things, my question to you is, if I am convicted of a DUI and I must sit for 3 days in prison as part of my agreement, am I required, or am I sent upstate to do those 3 days, or am I kept in a local cell those 3 days?
You're definitely in the county jail. Anything under 24 months is a county jail sentence. Anything that's 24 months or more is a state prison sentence.
You are correct. Absolutely. I just needed to hear from a learned, seasoned attorney, because my next question is, how come I can't find when Sherelle Parker got locked up for the DUI that she spent 3 days, that she didn't do it in state prison?
Ooh.
And here's another thing I want to ask you. When she got locked up for the DUI, how come I can't find when her license was suspended for a year? Oh, here's another thing I want to ask you. And why is she still driving under those conditions? Oh, well, let me just ask you this right here, because I know all those things was a bit much. Why is she sitting on the Delaware River Port Authority board that deals with transportation if she has been convicted? She's a convicted criminal of DUI. And so when you look at the violence in this city and the very politicians who are prima donnas and get away with violence, you will never be able to combat the violence if your leadership is committing crimes to this level. And once again, when you stand up in council, 2 problems with council. It's a part-time job, so when you take that day off, when Jamie Gordier takes that day off, and she got either Friday or Wednesday to do her business, she has to leave council early on a Thursday. It's a $130,000 part-time job. You can't come to work on the day that you're supposed to come to work. And secondly, for you to give any kind of accolade to a 20-year-old based on what school he went to and not explain how he go to that good school and wind up in a state prison and was released and shot up, something is definitely wrong with that politician, and something is definitely wrong with this city right here. So when you keep presenting, and once again, you and I, part of the Divine Nine, when you keep presenting a person in front of me, just because they are female, and just because they black, and just because they belong to the Divine Nine, at the end of the day, the substance and the character of that person matters more than those other things, because we elected you in the Divine Nine based on your substance and your character. And your GPA too, but your substance and your character. And the reason why the police commissioner cannot solve this problem right here, because this is so new to her. It is too new to her. You shouldn't have brought her in. She's never experienced somebody shooting in front of a prison. She never experienced this amount of deaths in one city. She got more deaths just about that. She got people, she got police officers in the town she come from. And so it makes it seem like we just picking with people, but you get what you inspect. And if you don't do your due diligence, then it is hard for them to think that they can pull the wool over our eyes and tell us and feed us anything. That's unfair for us. Why send me to school? Why send me to one of the first? You talk about Howard, but there would be no Howard. There would be no Lincoln 30 years later if there was no Cheney. If somebody didn't give you the blueprint, call it what you want, high school, whatever. If you didn't have the blueprint, if you didn't have the discipline, if you didn't have the principals who had taught in all of the states, not just Philadelphia, but all of the states, preparing African-American minds, it is a foolish statement to make to announce or address another school better than the first school that you had gotten your tutelage from.
Woo. And I got to tell you, man, I don't know who brought the heat more, you or George. And again, I'm going to say it to you, and I'm going to give you a final 30 seconds. I'm going to say to you what I said to him. People can agree with you or disagree with you, but it appears that you've done your research. Go ahead. You got the final 30 seconds.
Yeah, in this 30 seconds, and thank you once again. The thing that we have to do is, I was up to state, and I asked the lottery commissioner, I said, well, a lot of seniors are on fixed income, but they are addicted to the scratch-offs, and they're unable to pay their rent, or they're falling behind on their bills. He said it's for entertainment purposes only. If they can't afford to play, they should not play. See, that's the fundamental problem right there. That's where you miss the Leon Selman. That's where you miss the Dave Richardson. That's where you miss people who can go in there and address that issue. So he don't care if they lose the very livelihood of their foundation of where they live, and he already knows that there's an addiction with scratch-offs. You see what I'm saying? So they say play responsibly, but that's like telling a drug dealer, that's like telling an addict to take responsible drugs. Once you hook, and I'm my soapbox, I'm going to hang up and listen to you.
I got to tell you, once again, Prince and George, a 1-2 punch. They brought the heat. Those of you who want to join in and bring the heat yourself, you can join in. The numbers are 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. Toll free, 866-361-0900. That's 866-361-0900. I got, 6-7 topics I want to discuss, from Philly's violent crime to the upcoming primary election to the miseducation system here in Philly to the $1,400 STEMI legal protection to sister ancestor Emma Chappelle to 43 states have 253 pieces of legislation to take away your right to vote, to breaking news about a top black Philadelphia lawyer. But all that's secondary. We got to get to the callers. We spoke to George, or better stated, George spoke to us. Prince spoke to us. Let's now go to Maurice. I'm going to call them Maurice 1 and 2. Not because one is older or better, because one called first and the other called second. Let's go to Maurice in Southwest Philly on line 3 right now. Maurice, how are you today?
Best thing I can say is preach, preach, preach. I'm putting money in the collection plate this morning.
Whoa.
So finally somebody's telling the truth. Like how we waste our time at city council when everything has already been decided before they hear public opinion. It's a waste of time.
Let me ask you this, Maurice. When you say waste of time, what should they be doing? If they're wasting time with what they're doing, what should they be doing?
Well, they should go by the docket, but they also should have open inquiry where we can address what's going on at the present time. We can't do that. If you start talking out of bounds, they push you off and they tell you, you start off with 3 minutes, all of a sudden now you got 15 seconds. And everybody knows that's how City Hall works. It's useless. They're just telling you what they're going to do. They don't even be paying attention to you. They're clipping coupons. They're staring into space. They're playing with their hair. They're rubbing their head. They're not paying attention to that, And with the violence in here, we got two things in this city to worry about: vaccines and murder. And nobody's addressing either one properly.
Say that again. Say it again. Vaccine and murder.
Vaccines
So let me ask you this. Apart from what you're hearing on WRD, I guess you're saying other things, and probably what you're hearing about on social media. What is it that you're hearing black people talk about, and you're saying whatever that thing is, they instead should be talking about vaccine and murder? Please continue.
Well, number one, Miss Stanford, who's giving out with the Black Coalition giving out vaccine, why is she only getting close to 2,500 vials of vaccine? Why is she only getting that?
And just so people know, Maurice is talking about Dr. Ayla Stanford, who came to the rescue after the city gave this white boy who was incompetent and inexperienced everything he wanted. Keep talking, Maurice.
Yeah, he was doing 6,000 vials a day.
Woo.
How come he did after the trouble with the new guy? How come they didn't give her the convention center? You know, they had more space, and they're supposed to be so black. They're supposed to be their home girl. They so proud of her. Where's the support? Why did black people have to stand out in the cold, which I call modern day trail of tears, out there freezing to death, to get a vaccination, and nobody wants to admit that the city did black people wrong. Nobody wants to admit that. See, that's the problem that's going on there. And I heard this morning, I heard people crying about the Asians being bothered and they being hassled now. Now I guess the Asians know what it's like to be black.
But just so we're clear, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, Maurice, you're not condoning this. You would agree as a black man that oppression to all people is wrong.
And to everyone, but now people know how we feel.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay,
when we
I got
get picked on for no reason, while we get victimized for no reason. We're all the same, but now all of a sudden, because of a madman in office, Asians are the bad guys. You know one other thing that the people haven't realized?
Well, just so people know what you're talking about the former guy who was in office. That's the madman.
I don't even want to say his name. See, I'm not going to give him no press.
I love it. Keep going.
See, the thing is, ain't no black people messing with Asians. Those are white folks. We don't mess with them. They're in our neighborhoods. We don't bother them. They can walk in our neighborhood. They ain't got to be bothered. Ain't nobody going to talk about the China flu, even though they're not Chinese. But people don't know no better. But look, the main thing I want to talk about, I want to get to Larry Krasner, but I also want to talk about what happened out there at the jail.
And just before you get into both of them, let me just fill in the blanks for people who don't know, and then you'll tell us the rest about it and about Krasner. Just so folks know, Prince alluded to it. Maurice is talking about it. What happened is a man was gunned down after being chased back onto jail grounds shortly after his release. And this is a report from a local news station. Rodney Hargrove was shot multiple times and killed in a shooting that took place just inside the gate of the Northeast Philadelphia CFCF. That stands for Current Farmhold Correctional Facility. Apparently, it happened about approximately 4 hours ago. A 20-year-old man posted bail and was waiting for his ride home early this morning when a driver chased him back onto the prison grounds in Philadelphia's Holmesburg section and opened fire. There's much more, but go ahead, Maurice. Tell us what you know, and then we'll get to Larry Krasner.
Me being a former correctional officer, an inmate has never been executed on prison grounds by somebody from the public. It's never happened. So
now, let me ask you this, Maurice, and this is basically your expertise as a former state prison guard. You're not blaming any local law enforcement or city officials for this, or are you?
No, I'm blaming the whole law enforcement community.
I got you.
I want to tell you why. First of all, when you're a prisoner from the city or state, you are the property of them. And when you go back on prison grounds, you are property of prison.
Good point.
And they murdered the man on it. They have an outside unit. They have powers. Nobody seems to have no information. This news is going across the country. This is not a Philly thing. This is a nation thing that's going on here.
In fact, I'm just looking at the reports, and this thing happened around 2 a.m., and apparently he was off the grounds. He saw somebody with the gun coming toward him, ran back onto the grounds, and was shot and killed. You're right. This is international. Keep going. In fact, they say about 10 shots were fired.
Plus, why is this a known system that Philadelphia prisons would let an inmate out at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Ooh, keep talking.
Because
keep
when
talking.
you let him out at that time, he's not allowed to collect his personal property. He may have money on the books. Those offices are closed. So you're sending a man out knowing that you got to make him come back for no reason, back up to the state prison or the city prison for no reason. But it's been a habit. It's called, I would call it punishment. They can't let the man out at a reasonable time.
That's a great point. That's an excellent point, Maurice. Excellent point.
And there's nothing up there, so we're talking about an area where there's no housing up there. I think they had a uniform store up there at one time, but nothing's open at 1 o'clock in the morning. So you put a man out there, it's just like, I would call it a castaway. You send a man out to a desert and say, make it the best way you can home. You know.
That's an excellent
point. But believe me, all this will be investigated and some heads will roll. But one of the most important things, I've been criticized about it, but I'm going to just put it out there like it is because I like to tell the truth. Out of all these black officials, I always say, what city council or what per state rep has done something for your neighborhood that you can say, wow, they really doing that thing. And I'm not talking about recently. I'm talking about the last 5 years. The only one, and he's not a black man, is Larry Krasner.
That's embarrassing that in a city that's 44% black, in a city that has a predominantly black city council, that the best that we can say is that in terms of elected officials, a white guy is doing more. Wow.
If you turn on URD, Larry Krasner seems like he has a show here because sometimes he's on 3 times a week. Sometimes he's on double shows. He's the only elected official that I don't even think we call him. I think he just show up. He might be an employee because he shows up and he tells the truth. Even if it's bad news we don't want to hear. He tells us the truth about the homicide rate is not good. He tells us the truth that he can't get the proper bail to keep these convicted killers in jail. He tells us that he asked for higher bail, but they won't give it to him. And here's the most important part. When he walked into the job, we complained about the DA's office. He knocked off 30 DAs from the door saying you don't belong here. And we still haven't given him credit for that.
DAs who were hired by Lynn Abraham and Seth Williams.
And wait a minute. Did people know? He's a white guy.
And let me say this, Maurice. I'm going to give you the final words. I haven't shared this with anybody publicly, and I'm going to give you the final word, but I'm going to speak slowly when I say this. Larry Krasner fired somebody, a white person. That white person filed a racial discrimination case against Larry Krasner. Now, follow me on this. Larry's white. The person he fired is white. And the white person sued Larry, saying that Larry was racist against white people. It gets better. And I'm going to speak slowly because I make sure I don't say the wrong thing. The lawyer for this white person served a subpoena on me because the argument was that Michael Cord is an anti-white racist. Michael Cord posts stuff on social media against white people and white cops. Michael Cord is a friend of Larry. So Larry fired this white person because he's friends with Michael Cord. Anyway, I actually had to testify under oath in court that I have not spoken to Larry. We don't meet. We don't text. We don't talk. Ever since he was sworn in as DA, Larry Krasner and I agreed not to have any contact with each other because I just assumed that this kind of thing was coming. The final thing I'll say, Maurice, and I'll give you the last word, is we all know about, I'm not going to say that news station that the former president loved. It claims to be a news station, but it's just a white supremacist TV station that claims to be news. Do you know that now they are on the attack? This white station that the fake orange president that still loves, they're on the attack now against Krasner, so much so they got a news story yesterday and today naming me, Michael Cord, as a supporter of Krasner, and I'm a racist, rabble-rousing troublemaker, and to the extent that I endorsed Larry Krasner when he ran, that Larry's also a racist. Now, how a white guy can be racist against white people, I don't know. I'm going to talk more about that. Go ahead, Maurice, take your time.
Well, as most people know, Mr. White got caught in a situation where he had to defend himself against 3 white men, and one of them died, which is a shame.
Maurice, do this, because I took up some of your time talking, so I don't want you to lose your train of thought. Remember what you were saying right there. We got to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to pick up right where you stopped. But first, a break. WURD 96.1 FM.
We do all we can to ensure our kids are happy, healthy, safe, and strong. Having high-quality, low-cost health insurance helps make that possible. With CHIP, your child can have medical, dental, eye care, and more for free or low cost. Whether you're self-employed, unemployed, or your employee benefits are just too expensive, CHIP is there for you to help your child be strong. CHIP Strong. Apply or renew today at 800-986-KIDS or go to chipcoverspakids.com.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Hi, it's me, Gia Peppers. Tune into More Than That with me live this weekend or catch the show wherever you listen to podcasts. This week, I'm talking to Kenya Barris, creator of Blackish and co-writer of the new Coming to America, as well as Judge Lynn Toler, television icon, author, and advocate. More Than That is brought to you by Bounty, Charmin, and Puffs. Visit png.com for more on their commitment to positive change. So I wanted to talk to you about how you grew up. What was your actual family structure like?
For the most part, growing up I felt like a very common Black experience. You know what I'm saying? I feel like we weren't rich. I don't think we were destitute in any way. But like the community, we all had the same. Now, I didn't really realize how much we didn't have until we moved and into a more integrated community. When I was like, oh, people's knives and forks match, you know what I'm saying? And like plates match, you know, like, little things like that I see. But I was constantly surrounded, what I felt like, with definitely turmoil between my parents when they were divorcing and things like that. But in general, I felt a lot of love in my community. I felt a lot of love in my family.
My mother was an emotional genius. She can go in a room and not say anything, and she could tell you where everybody is emotionally when you leave. And she taught me specifically, running your emotions is something you need to do as an independent study. And she taught me how to feel in a manner that did not allow my own instability and the instability of my environment to send me in a direction that I could have flown off the world. I just could have. And she was so intuitive that it didn't happen. And she raised my sister, who is very calm and assured and all that, completely differently. Everything she told me, she told Kathy the opposite, because she knew who her girls were.
This is not a fad for us. We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are undeniably, indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media. WURD.
You're listening to The Source
on WURD Radio.
96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Yes, that is correct. This is WURD 96.1 FM. This show is The Source, hosted by Andrea Lawful Sanders. She does her thing so very well during this time slot, but she was unavailable today, and Sheila Management said, hey, Michael Cord, a.k.a. Michael X, a.k.a. the angriest black man in America, can you sit in today as a guest host? I said, say no more. Thank you very much. So big shout out to Andrea Lawful Sanders, unapologetically black and culturally empowering. Let's get back to Maurice. He was on the roll. Maurice, I hope you didn't forget where you were.
No, I was going to talk about Mr. White that got caught in a fatal stabbing of, I can't think of the guy's name, but the 3 white guys he had to fight with, and one of them
Schellinger.
died.
Yeah, Schellinger.
Well, if it wasn't for Larry Krasner, that man probably would be doing life. And we got to understand that we actually, this time, have somebody, I'm not going to say it's fair, but we at least got a fighting chance this time when we get caught up in the criminal system. And we better understand that, because the guys that's running against him are criminals, and they have no interest in the black community. So we better stop complaining because he's a white guy and understand that we actually have somebody in there that's going. I would love a black guy to be in there, but sometimes I'm so anti-white, I don't want to even eat rice. But I'm letting you know now, right now, this is the best choice for us to even have a feature in criminal justice for the people that's here, because things are just going to get worse, and we need somebody that's actually doing their job they're getting paid for, and it's not a part-time job to them. We got to understand that people are making 6 figures working for the city, and they have other jobs that they're more concerned about than what they're doing for us as black people. I just want to make sure we understand. We are black people. We need to stop worrying about everybody else and start worrying about ourselves. Start shopping at our own stores. Start taking care of our own people. And every time something comes up, whether it's Asian, Jewish, or something, we want that to be our problem. Or anything that's going on out of state, we want that to be our problem. We got enough problems here in Philadelphia that we got to start digging down so we can at least reach the surface. That's all I'm saying. Think about what you're doing, black people, and stop agreeing and listening to people that don't know what they're talking about. And later on, once they find out they were wrong, they don't even have the decency to come on the air and say, I made a mistake. Because I sure do, because I don't know everything. When I make a mistake, the first thing I do is tell the host, hey, look, I made a mistake. I don't have no problem being real, because this is supposed to be a family station, and let's keep it family.
Woo! I got to tell you, folks, you heard from George, you heard from Prince, you heard from Maurice, and they are 3 for 3. I'm not saying that you have to agree with everything they said. I'm not saying I have to agree with everything they said, but they bring the heat with passion, and they all, I repeat, they all care about the plight of black folks. We appreciate their positions. We appreciate their opinions, because that's all they gave. They gave their opinions like I gave mine. But we want to make sure everybody gets a chance to say what they want. The numbers are 215-634-8065. Once again, 215-634-8065. Toll free, 866-361-0900. Once again, 866-361-0900. Hey, folks, I got like 7 to 8, I think, really important topics I want to talk about. And yes, they are important, but yours are more important. That's why I'm taking all your calls before I get a chance to say what I need to say. And I got 29 minutes because we're out of here at 4 o'clock. Let's go to Maurice. Maurice is waiting patiently from my stomping grounds, North Philly, on line 4. Maurice, how are you today?
Hey, how's the brother?
Doing very well. How can we help you, or how can you help us?
Well, one of the things, I love that you had Prince and George on there, and I'm hoping you could bring us together to sit us down to have a meeting. Stop this violence. That's what I'm hoping. Because I had a program I'm going to touch on, but first I want to touch on this. I want to thank you for letting addressing our thing with Dr. Asante and the question we had.
Oh, and yes. Did you heard his response?
Yes, we in total agreement. I have my whole team listening to you because we run a program with youth and with movement around economics. So I had everybody listening to you and Dr. Asante, and we agreed with that. But what we was talking about was the Indo-European culture and a Germanic culture when they had relations. And when we were saying when the Grimaldi was there, we know 65,000 years ago that Africans left and went into Europe, Caucasus Mountains, and went into South Asia and different places.
Great point. And that's how they became white people. Their skin changed, their hair changed, the environment affected them. Keep talking.
Right, and we understood all that. So we just wanted to say, a lot of times we don't know about a lot of blacks don't know about the Indo-European history that's missing. So we knew they came out the Caucasus because we knew about the Aborigines going there 65,000 years ago in Australia, and what we call the Indians that went 65,000 years ago in East Asia. So he answered our question, but I like that we can have a dialogue on who we are. We can break down some of this animosity towards East culture that's part of the black diaspora, that they don't know they're part of that black diaspora, or they think we don't know that they're part of the diaspora. So that's one of the things. Another thing I wanted to talk about was Miss Emma Chappelle.
Yes, please, go ahead.
I knew Miss Emma Chappelle for 42 years.
Ooh,
I met Miss Emma Chappelle since I was 13 years old, My mom put me in a program that was ran by Dr. Leon Sullivan.
Let me say this before you go on, Riz. I love that we have such well-informed people, because a lot of people don't know the connection between the Honorable Ancestor Emma Chappelle and the Honorable Ancestor Reverend Leon Sullivan. She actually was in his congregation at Zion Baptist Church, and he actually was impressed with how much of a mathematical genius she was as a child. And when he realized that she was a whiz with numbers, the rest is history. Maurice, keep talking.
Right. But we don't tell the story. We tell the story of her. She's a giant, man.
No doubt.
She's a giant. And I never thought that the work I'm doing now will come back 360. And to understand Dr. Leon Sullivan, who he is, and that he taught Martin Luther King, and that he taught Malcolm X and gave Malcolm X $5,000 out of his pocket in 1954, because he said there's no black movement, no movement without finance. And that's what he told Malcolm.
That is so true. That is so true, man.
So, and when we look at the history of Dr. Chappelle, not only that he was impressed with Dr. Chappelle is a family member of his. And it was him that sent Dr. Chappelle to school for finance and banking.
Woo, let me tell you again, Maurice, you do your research. You know what you're talking about, because in addition to attending Temple, she actually was in something called the Executive Training Program, where she became the first vice president of a major bank in Pennsylvania. And you talk about it like you know it off the top of your head, because you do. Keep talking.
She was the first black owner of any bank, female, in America.
That's a great point. In fact, when she opened up United Bank, what was it, in 1992, she became the first black woman founder of any bank in United States history. I'm going to give you the final 60 seconds. We got to catch it with everybody else, but go ahead. The final 60 are yours.
Two things I want to say. A lot of people don't know that she wrote and started a lot of organizations for people, that Jesse Jackson and other people.
True.
On national campaigns for Jesse Jackson and other people. But like I stood up in a meeting when someone had said something bad to her, because they didn't know the history of what happened to the bank loans that Prince talked about. And I told them at the meeting, if everything you said was true, then she wouldn't be able to work on Wall Street right now with Jesse Jackson, because the SEC wouldn't allow her to work on it, if you say it was true. So with that, by her working on Wall Street, it tells me it's not true. And then she was exonerated, but like she said, saying when you campaign, smear my name in the paper, come back and free me. And last but not least, I just want to say one thing about Janie Blackwell, because George is on point. Janie Blackwell was doing what Miss Emma Chappelle wrote about, Community Reinvestment Act. I was Miss Blackwell, sports director with the kids in the city. Miss Blackwell, I started with one program in North Philly. I had 700 kids. When I got with Miss Blackwell, we had 10 playgrounds around the city with thousands of kids. Miss Blackwell didn't have to help me, but she did. And I never let nobody, right or wrong, that's my girl. Because when nobody else wanted to help me in the black community, Miss Blackwell helped me. And last but not least, you said what they should be doing. And I remember telling Miss Blackwell in front of her staff, if I was city councilman, you workers in this office would have New Balance sneakers on, you would knock on your constituent's door 3 times a week to find out what we need, to find out what's going on, and solve these problems. And that's when I least thanks, Mike, for your allowing me to speak.
Maurice, thank you very much. We had Maurice from North Philly. We had Maurice from Southwest. We had Prince. We had George. I mean, folks are providing some powerful information, and we got about maybe, 23 minutes left, and it looks like I'm not going to get to my topics, but don't worry about it. I do host a show here at WURD every Sunday from 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. That's 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. every Sunday, the radio courtroom. Make sure you tune in. By the way, big shout out once again to Andrea Lawful Sanders, host of The Source. It's on every Thursday at this time from 1 p.m. until 4 p.m. I call that sister unapologetically black. I call that sister culturally empowering. Why? Because that's exactly what and who she is. Make sure you tune into every show that she does every time she's on the air here at WURD. Let's keep things moving. I'm going to ask folks to try to cut it to maybe 3 minutes apiece. I let folks go on, but we only have about 20 minutes left, so I got to get in Ken. I got to get in Jacob. I got to get in Tyrone. So, Ken, you're up first.
Greetings, comrades, sisters, and brothers, and how are you, sir?
Doing very well. How can we help you, or how can you help us?
We can't help you, but we can help you help yourself. Say, look, we've testified in city council quite a bit. We've got people who've been doing that. We testified about 3 months ago. There was a police budget bill right after the young fellow Walt got killed over in West Philadelphia. All of you remember that. So you can do that sort of thing, and I'd advise that's one thing that you need to do. You need to start getting on to city council and start testifying about anything you can get your hands on to.
Great point.
Particularly
Great point.
if it's really doing it, you know? Second, say, Mike, do you have the ability to sue people for genocide in the United States and being a lawyer?
The answer is it depends, and that's not an evasive answer. It comes down to this. Before you can sue somebody, you have to have legal standing. So let's say, and I'm going to make this quick, Ken, let's say your son was injured, and for whatever reason, your son was able to sue on his own behalf. Well, you, as his father, have standing to sue on his behalf, but the neighbor down the block who has no relationship to your son cannot sue on your son's behalf because that neighbor has no standing. So when you talk about genocide, you have to say that my name is Michael Cord the 15th, and I can prove that Michael Cord the 1st 200 years ago, 300 years ago, was a victim of something. So to answer your question, in a legal setting, you can't just say, hey, these people committed genocide. You have to show that you have legal standing to file that lawsuit, that you were directly victimized by that. I'll give you the final minute, Ken.
Then that would mean that if Chinese people, which they were being hung back when they were building railroads back out in California, and since Chinese people, Japanese who refused entry into the United States and to go into schools and put into put into concentration camps out in California, then we could also link up with them and charge genocide for the enslavement all across, because they were being treated just like we were, quietly as it's kept while they built all of these big railroads across
the short
the
answer
United
is
States that
yes.
attacked everybody.
That's a possibility, assuming that you have a legal basis. But I hear you. Ken, we got to run. I got to squeeze in Jacob. I got to squeeze in Tyrone. I got to squeeze in Olani, and I got to do this all after the break. First, that break right here, WURD 96.1 FM.
Hi, this is John.
Hi, this is Juanita, owners of JD's Auto Body and Painting. We're located at 6300 Wayne Avenue, right there at the intersection of Wayne and Washington Lane.
We really like to thank all you WURD listeners for the support that you've given our business, and we really hope to see you in the future.
JD, tell them about our products and services we have.
We have a new state-of-the-art paint shop along with our body shop and detail shop. We can help you with the dents and scratches from the winter season.
Come to JD's Auto Body and Painting. Come on out and check us out. We're still honoring that WURD 10% discount. Give us a call, 215-848-5949. Again, 215-848-5949.
Thanks again for supporting our business. We really appreciate you.
See you at JD's Auto Body and Painting.
This Women's History Month, WURD Radio is proud to celebrate Black women innovators and trailblazers who have helped us all level up.
Trailblazing Black woman Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala is a Nigerian-American global finance expert, economist, and international development professional with over 30 years of experience working in Asia, Africa, Europe, and Latin America. Currently, Dr. Okonjo-Iweala is chair of the board of Gavi, the Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunizations. Gavi, since it started in 2000, has immunized 680 million children globally and saved 10 million lives. She is also a senior advisor at Lazard and sits on the boards of Standard Charter PLC and Twitter. On February 15th, 2021, she was appointed as Director General of the World Trade Organization, which facilitates international trade between nations. She is the first woman and the first African to to hold the office.
This Women's History Month vignette was brought to you by Comcast and Thomas Jefferson University and Jefferson Health.
WURD recognizes Black women innovators and entrepreneurs who are making history every day. Nominate a Black woman-owned business for our Level Up contest. Go to wordradio.com for more information. Brought to you by Bank of America, Comcast, Keystone First, PICO, Thomas Jefferson University, and Jefferson Health. You're listening to The Source
on WURD Radio.
96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
And that is absolutely correct. You are listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders. Well, you're listening to it during her regular time slot, but she was unavailable today and said, hey, Michael Cord, a.k.a. Michael X, a.k.a. the angriest black man in America, can you sit in for me temporarily today and do your thing? So big shout out to the unapologetically black and the culturally empowering Andrea Lawful Sanders. Thanks to her and the management here at WRD, I am sitting in. Please join me every Sunday from 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. right here at WRD 96.1 FM as I host the Radio Courtroom Show. We got to squeeze in everybody who is on the list today for the remainder of the show. We got Jacob, we got Tyrone, we got to get to Olanian, and we've got to definitely get into Olanian because not only is he an active member of the community, but he also does commercial advertising here at WRD. He puts his money where his mouth is. I'm not saying that you only get a chance to speak if you do commercials, of course not. But thanks to people like Olanian, other people, the callers today, have access to the radio station. So I was going to cut off all the calls after Tyrone, but we got to squeeze in Olanian to see what he wants to share with the WRD listening audience. But right now, we're going to go to Jacob. Then we're going to go to Tyrone. Then we're going to wrap things up with Olanian. Jacob, we're giving everybody 2.5, maybe 3 minutes. Go ahead, sir.
Peace be unto you, brother. Look, I'm going to try to make mine 1 minute. Brother Michael X, this is William 87 checking in. But look,
love it. I love it.
I'm going to try to make mine real quick. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. How are we ever going to get up as blacks, right, when we are so hard on each other, right? Mm. I'm talking about especially our black women, and I don't care what your name is, okay? Mm. Now, name me, Michael Cord, one perfect politician, white, black, Asian, or whatever. Can you name me one?
The answer is none, because politics is the art of compromise. In order to move us forward, you got to make deals. So the short answer, no.
Okay. Well, why do every time I hear people talk about black politicians, it's always got to be negative and that they don't deserve to be in the spot that they're in, when you just said there ain't no perfect politicians, white or black or Asian, that ain't got something on their record. Thank you, Mike. I just wanted to bring that up.
Wow, I understand what Jacob is saying, and, you know, he seemed to have a difference of opinion from some of the other callers, but that's what we want. That's what we welcome. We want to hear different opinions. Everybody who called gave their opinion. You can't say that one is definitely right and one is definitely wrong, because they are based on opinions. Let's go now to Tyrone. Tyrone, how can you help us, or how can we help you?
Brother Ash, peace and blessings to you, and much love to my WRD.
Very same to you.
Hey, my man, you know, I've been missing you on Sunday. I've been trying to get in and haven't. And let me tell you how long it's been. The last time I talked to you, when I was giving homage to Brother Mo and Maurice from Southwest, I don't know if you remember that, because those three brothers came with some bow, bow, bow. The brothers, man, the brothers that are speaking, man, that are sharing, trying to, you know, keep us aware of what we up against. You know, I am so glad for Brother Jacob, because I see Brother Jacob as Brother Mo. Because, you know, when Mo spoke, Mo always spoke on the positiveness in terms of things that we can do. And he always had a history to make his point, you know, make it right. So thank you, Brother Jacob, for who you are, brother, because you are my Brother Mo. And I'm calling for my sis, my queen, my Nubian queen, Emma Chappelle.
Yes,
and now,
yes, sir.
All the things that have been said, you know, since you've been on, my brother.
And we got about 30 seconds left, Tyrone. 30 seconds.
Points to the fact that we are struggling the way we're struggling because we are not doing things in one accord and being, uplifting, trying to keep one another together. Sister Emma Chappelle, not only did she put our organization, Committee for a Better North Philadelphia, put us on the front page when we was with her, Bill Cosby, and Jesse Jackson at one of his shows, and she's responsible for meeting my pastor, Reverend Joe Williams, when they gave me the medallion medallion, the push medallion, and I was able to give it to one of my teachers who was very instrumental in pulling me out of that gang war mess that I was locked up into. So I just want to give her, the greatest shout out that anybody can give a sister, because for Emma Chappelle, what she did not only for this city, this country, and folks across this globe, man, is phenomenal, and we just thank her for being the sister she was, and she will always be remembered. Thank you, my brother, for
Tyrone, thank you very much. We appreciate that. We appreciate all the calls. We're going to wrap things up with Olaniyan. Again, Olaniyan has been active as a community activist here in Philly. He's a member of ATTACK. He's a member of the WURD family. He does advertisements here at WURD. And again, I'm not saying that all the callers have to do commercial advertising at WURD, but I am saying that people like Olaniyan who advertise here, they provide the fuel for the WURD vehicle to move forward and for that vehicle to pick up folks who call into the show. So we're going to wrap things up in the final 2 minutes with Brother Olaniyan. Go ahead. The 2 minutes are yours. Then we have to wrap things up. Go ahead, sir.
Greetings. And WURD Radio has certainly gave me much fuel to keep going. I have a gift for HBCUs. No, I don't have much money now, but later we will. This is so because I want to start a college scholarship perpetuity fund with some little dollars, and with stock earnings, it will grow to become $100,000 easily. No, I'm not talking big crap. The fund that I have started has been growing real fast. Brother Mark Palmer of WURD Radio has worked at getting legal papers for this fund so that the public can donate to it too. The fund will be used to send students to any HBCU, not just Lincoln, not just Cheney, but any HBCU. And as a perpetuity fund, once I stop living, because I'm tired of opening my eyes, once everyone else is gone, it will still be alive forever. That's why we call it a perpetuity fund. What I need, is that I like you as an attorney, and the public too, is to help the government move faster. They're moving so slow. Nothing has happened since I opened my mouth way back last year in June. It's really irritating. So I ask you that if you can tell Mr. Mark Palmer or someone else, what's making the Social Security Department and others, the IRS, is so slow. That's all. Well,
let me say this, Lion. We appreciate your call. I will do whatever I can do to assist you. You have the ATTACK number, 215-552-8751. Leave a message. Remind me about today's conversation. I want to thank you for calling today, but I also want to thank you especially for financially assisting Cheney University, other HBCUs, and most important right now, WURD. We appreciate you, Olaniyan. Thank you very much. And folks, we're going to end this show in exactly 180 seconds. That is 3 minutes. And in those 3 minutes, I'm going to cover everything. I'm going to tell you that the topics I had planned to talk about today, we really couldn't get to, but I'm not complaining because we wanted to hear from you all first. I actually had several topics. Number one was solutions to Philly's violent crime. Don't worry about it. Tune into my Sunday show. You'll hear those solutions. Number two, the upcoming primary election. I want to tell you what the positions are, what the ballot questions are, and who the candidates are in the upcoming May primary. That's number two. Number three, I'm going to talk to you about Philly's miseducation system, what the school board is doing, or I should say the school district is doing or not doing. That's number three. Number four, Did you know that it's possible that your $1,400 STEMI can be snatched up by the bank if you have had lawsuits filed against you and judgments entered against you? For more information, tune in this Sunday. Number 5, the great ancestor, recent ancestor, Emma Chappelle. I'll talk more about her. Number 6, 43 states. In 43 states, Republicans have introduced 253 pieces of legislation to stop black people from voting. I wrote about that in the Tribune. Take a look at this past Sunday's Tribune at phillytrib.com, COARD. That was number 6 on my list, number 7 on my list, and I'm going to wrap this part in just a couple seconds. What I was going to talk about is the breaking news about a top black Philadelphia lawyer. Well, many of you know that Keir Bradford Gray, the head of the Defender Association here in Philadelphia, is not only one of the greatest attorneys here in Philly, but she resigned a couple days ago. It submitted a letter of resignation effective within the next few weeks, but she's no longer going to head the public defender's office. She's going on to do other things. Finally, big shout out once again to Andrea Lawful Sanders. As I pointed out, I acknowledge her, and you should too, as unapologetically black, as culturally empowering. She does a great job here at WURD with The Source. Final thing I want to say is we got to support our Asian brothers and sisters. We know that we don't agree with everybody about everything, but we do agree with this. Oppression is wrong. Tune into the radio courtroom this Sunday from 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. right here at WURD 96.1 FM. I'm going to end this show like I end my show by saying, think black. I'm out.